Hi, good day to Madam Vimana and everyone watching this video. We from the group 6 would like to present our research outcome for the topic of scam and fraud. So, me myself as the group leader would like to present it to you with my group member, Hon Yaozi, Sumendra, Li Mingwei, and Xi Jiaozhou. So now I'd like to do a very brief introduction to this topic. So basically nowadays scam and fraud has caused us a very substantial financial emotional harm and with estimatedly over $5 trillion annually. So ranging from a very traditional scams to cyber crimes, the evolving deception landscape demands a heightened awareness and research for effective countermeasures. So therefore understanding the complex problem is the key to protecting the individuals from ever evolving schemes. So now let's look into the research objective of this research. So basically, the first is to examine the correlation between the specific personality traits and the susceptibility to falling victim to online scams and fraud. And the second is to investigate the role of demographic factors in conjunction with the personality traits concerning susceptibility to online fraud and scams. And the third two is to assess the impact of interventions or awareness programs, like as specific personality traits, on reducing the likelihood of engaging in or becoming victims of online scams and fraudulent activities. And besides that, we also aim to explore the impact of psychology on individuals victimized by frauds and scam activities, aiming to dive into potential psychological factors contributing to their vulnerability as victims. And the last but not least is to understand the correlation between the mean levels of awareness with the genders, age, ethnic, and status. So now I'm going to talk on our methodology. Firstly, we want to investigate the relationship between the personality traits, demographics, personal experience, and susceptibility to online fraud. Next, for the methodology, we utilize Google Form as a mean to gather data. Finally, the key focus here is about the responses of multiple choice questions used to analyze the data. Next is the research method overview. The sampling method used here is non-probability sampling, which is the convenience sampling. Meanwhile, our target group is Malaysians aged 18 years old and above. Furthermore, the survey structure is segmented into three parts, which is the personality test, the demographics, and the personal experience. The Likert scale for the questions ranges from 1 to 4 and 1 to 5 for the most questions. The survey was distributed on November 21st, 2023, and closed after it received 80 plus respondents. In order to find out the tendency of respondents to become the victim of fraud and scams, here are the 6 important questions that we aggregate them into the scam and fraud index, namely the credit card fraud, counterfeit goods, identity thief, romance scams, bank fraud, and financial fraud. These are the 4 choices selected by the respondents. For the 6 selected questions, they are converted into 1, 2, 3, and 4. The choices selected by the respondents are converted into average value in order to measure the risk of being a victim of scams and frauds. Thus, by getting the average value for each respondent for the 6 selected questions, we can get an indicating risk of the respondent being scammed or face fraud. So here are the 4 DISC personalities, namely the dominance, influence, steadiness, and the conscientiousness. In order to determine the DIC type of a specific respondent, questions are selected for each personality to calculate the corresponding rating of a DIC. Next, we proceed to the result and discussion. Here comes to the first research question. Is there a significant relationship between whether the respondent belongs to which DIC personality and the respondent being at the risk of becoming a victim of scam and fraud? Thus, we draft up the new hypothesis with there is no significant relationship and alternative hypothesis with there is a significant relationship. This simple error bar mean of fraud and scam index by the these personalities provides the visualization that there is no relationship between these personalities and the fraud and scam index. This is based on the overlapping of each error bar mean of the DISC respectively, which is indicated by the red dotted lines. However, this way of making the conclusion might not be appropriate as the researchers might fall into the confirmation error. For this hypothesis, one-way ANOVA test is carried out, noting that the p-value is 0.546, which is significantly more than the significance value of 0.5. Thus, there is insufficient evidence to reject the new hypothesis. In conclusion, there is no significant relationship between the DISC personality model and the risk of becoming a victim of scams and frauds. In other words, all DISC personalities possesses the same probability of becoming a victim of scam and frauds. For hypothesis 2, the new hypothesis is there is no significant difference between the gender and the risk of becoming a victim of scams and frauds. In this testing, we aim to discover whether the data is normal. We check for its normality by using the Shapiro-Wilk test. Since we get the sigma value or the p-value less than the 0.001, which is less than 0.05, Thus, we can conclude there is a significant deviation of data from a normal distribution, and we can reject the new hypothesis and assume the sample distribution is not normal. A man-weekly U-test is performed to evaluate whether the risk of becoming a victim of scam and fraud differ by the gender. So the p-value obtained, which is 0.446, is greater than the critical value of 0.05. The results shown indicate that there is no significant difference between the gender and the risk of becoming a victim of scam and fraud. Hence, there is insufficient evidence to reject the new hypothesis. Proceeding to the hypothesis 3, these are the new hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. We wish to find out that there is a significant relationship between the respondents' trust in the safety of the internet and their online risky behaviors, such as not practicing safety measurements and exposing personal details and etc. Since both questions are like skill data which is denounced, hence we use a Spearman role correlation to test it. The result shows that the p-value is less than 0.1, which is less than 0.5. Thus, the null hypothesis is reject and we accept the alternative hypothesis. The coefficient value is 0.372. Thus, we can conclude that as the internet trust increases, there's a tendency of individuals to rate their online risky behavior at a higher level. This implies that those who trust the internet more may engage in riskier online behaviors. Possible reasons might be the overconfidence in security measures in internet, limited knowledge of online threats, technological optimism, comfort with the online world, and the peer influence. The next hypothesis is hypothesis 4, which also uses the Spearman role correlation. These are the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. We hope to investigate that there is a significant relation between the fraud and scam index and the online risky behavior. The result shows that the p-value is 0.044, which is less than 0.5. Thus, the null hypothesis is rejected and we accept the alternative hypothesis. The coefficient value is 0.22. Thus, we can conclude that as the self-repressive level of online risky behavior increases, there is a tendency of individuals to have a higher fraud and scam index, indicating the greater likelihood of experiencing fraud and scams. This shows that the individuals who commit in riskier online behavior frequently are more risky to face various online fraud and scams, which also emphasize the need to enhance individual awareness and cautious online practices. So for the fifth hypothesis, we are going to investigate the significant relationship between the respondent psychology and the risk of becoming a victim of scams and frauds. For the measurement of respondent psychology, we are going to use the aggregated psychology index, which is aggregate from the self-evaluated rating from the respondents about their psychological condition, making it continuous. Therefore, we use the method of Pearson correlation coefficient test in this hypothesis testing. Now let's look into the result of the hypothesis testing. So according to the statistic, the p-value is equals to 0.016, which is less than the significance level of 0.5 in the two-tailed test. So hereby we reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis. From the correlation coefficient, which is 0.265, we can learn that there is a positive relationship between the fraud and scam index and the psychology index. Therefore, speaking in brief, as the psychology index increases, there's a tendency for individuals to have a higher scam and fraud index. This indicates that there's a greater likelihood of experiencing fraud and scams for individuals who exhibit the psychology patterns closely to the psychology index. And for the sixth hypothesis, the null hypothesis is created to investigate the significant difference in the mean levels of awareness regarding the online risk among different gender, age, ethnic, and status. So we use ANOVA test for this hypothesis, and not every single questions in the awareness section has the same importance like each other. So firstly, we build an awareness index with a sample of the associate p-value of 0.337 exceeding the combination significance level of 0.5. Therefore, we do not have a strong evidence to reject the null hypothesis that the mean of the independent variables are equivalent across all groups. Upon examining the variations of the means among the groups in the ANOVA test, it is appropriate to deduce that there is no significant impact of independent variables. Based on this result, we can conclude that there is no association between the awareness of online risky behaviors and factors such as age, gender, ethnic, and status. Therefore, in conclusion, as we are using convenient sampling method, it might increase the likelihood of the occurrence of the type 2 error in which we wrongly accept the new hypothesis. This is because our sampling targets model from the same community, and this might eventually cause some bias surveys, and we do not get to study the exact tendency of becoming a victim of scams and frauds. These are the references that we use for this project. That's all from our groups. Thank you for having us and have a wonderful day.